First of all, welcome. It's super fun to see so many joining us this morning. And yeah, first of all, we're Better Product Work. Our company was born kind of out of both frustration and hope, you can say. Frustration because we think that the conventional and traditional ways to build the products is, kind of broken. The hope is that we know there are better ways. We have all of us been working at strong product companies, and now we want to challenge the conventions and partner with visionary leaders who have the conviction to build high performing organizations. And yeah, this is the team. This is us. We're all here in the call today, although it's basically primarily me and Kalle who's going to host this webinar and go through the content. You've already met Joachim, but Christoph and Micke is here as well. Just a little bit about me. Been working in different product companies the last 20 years and primarily in different startups and scale-ups in Stockholm the last 15 years. Kalle, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, I have a similar story to Johannes. I've been working in product development since 98. And the last 10, 15 years, I've been working in leadership positions in scale-ups in Stockholm. So places like Enride, where I was CPO, and also Settle and Volvo On Demand.
Cool. And then we have among us as a group, we have experience both from startups, scale-ups, enterprises, B2B, B2C, you name it. So that's a bit about us and why are we here today? Because we call this webinar the Fullstack Product Manager. And what do we mean by that? Let's talk about that. I mean, the backdrop of this is, of course, that the role of the product manager in strong product companies is quite different compared to, for example, a Scrum product owner. And we'll try to unpack some of the differences and skills you need to have as a modern product manager in a strong product company. But before we go into that, what the product manager role is, we need to kind of back up a bit. What do we mean when we say a strong product company? Yeah, we talk about companies such as Amazon, and Apple, and Google, Netflix, and also Swedish companies. I think many of you know about Spotify, where Joachim has been working and part of kind of creating the almost famous Spotify model, I would say. This is like a variant of this. And both Kalle and me have been working at iSettle. And what is it that makes these companies so successful? I don't know if you have read these books or read anything that Marty Kagan has been writing, but in 2008 he released Inspired, and that kind of started to describe what those companies have in common and what sets them apart from most tech companies. In Marty Kagan's words, like what separates the best from the rest. He didn't really invent any of the principles and concepts in those companies, of course, but he kind of described them and marketed them. So, and as we have followed Marty's writing, we started to recognize that, yeah, he's actually describing how we have been working in some of these companies, for example, Spotify and iSettle. And he coined the term for this that we have adopted, and that is the product model or the product operating model. And what is that? Yeah, it's a set of principles reflecting what some of these the best product companies have in common. And it can be described and often is described as, it's a difference from most companies in how we build and deploy, how we solve problems, how we decide which problems to solve. And we also like to emphasize the importance of, it's a difference in how we lead and manage teams and people, and also the culture aspect of it. It's super important. And, what is it that is different in these companies? We often, this is translates into product delivery, how we build and deploy. In strong product companies, you can continuously deploy small releases several times a day, and the teams have autonomy and also the technical capabilities to release straight into production and conduct tests and experiments and get data on usage, etc. Quite different from a traditional and where you company where you release more seldom and do big releases, etc. And in how we solve problems, while maybe most or traditional companies do maybe discovery, like in the beginning of a big project, and then do a big design up front and hand it over to the teams to build for product model companies, product discoveries rather the habit that teams get problems to solve and continuously addresses risks through different discovery techniques and prototypes and experimentation and customer research, etc. So quite a big difference. And in decide which problems to solve. I mean, the strategy part in these strong product companies, we see that first of all, that the strategy actually is based on insights or diagnosis and context that is kind of data informed. And it's kind of presented more like problems to solve or outcomes to achieve to the teams, as compared to some other organizations where it could as well be a laundry list of features to build. And the last part here, leadership. We see that it's a super important part of these product companies. Leadership that actually trust the teams and their ways of working and skills and data, and they lead by direction rather than and context rather than micromanaging. And they also have a lot more focus on building people and teams rather than, building the product themselves. And at the core, of course, of these types of companies, we have the empowered product team. And what is that? I mean, we usually describe this as describing three categories of teams, where you have the delivery team. It is a team that is responsible for the delivery. It's output focused and feature and building focused. It's not really cross-functional. The product owner is basically a backlog administrator. They ship code and features. They are responsible for what we call feasibility, meaning can we build the solution within the frames of our budget and technology and skill set. But every other decision regarding a product is taken outside of the team. We talk about the feature team as kind of the second category here, and this is a team that it has a bit more cross-functionality, maybe some product management and UX design. So it has a responsibility to make the product usable as well. But it's there to serve the business. So every decision regarding how valuable the feature is or viable, how it supports the business, that is taken outside of the team. Often, provided a roadmap of features or projects to design and deliver. The product owner is pretty much often a project manager. To compare then, I mean, to what we call the empowered product team. the purpose of this team is to serve the customers in ways that meet the needs of the business. It's truly cross-functional with real product management and product design and engineers, of course. And they are kind of provided problems to solve and measured by outcomes. They are empowered to figure out the best solutions by themselves, basically. Okay, so let's talk a bit about empowerment. Is how empowered is empowered? Is it like either you are empowered or not? Oh, well, maybe it's more useful to think about this as a scale where, if the team uh, uh, gets handed a detailed specification for a specific feature. Well, moving up, it could also be like build something. Let's a segment of customer complete a specific task. This is still very kind of output oriented. Okay, then moving up the empowerment scale, so to speak. Here, the team is asked to solve a more open-ended customer problem or explore even challenges and improve on experience for customers, or even increase and decrease a specific metric that is kind of known to influence a specific business outcome. And even higher up, uh, here, the teams actually start to deliver straight to a business outcome and even experiment in what leverage points they can find to influence a specific, even long-term business outcome. So this is what we talk about when we talk about output. There's tasks and to-dos. This is kind of on the lower end of the empowerment scale. And then we talk about outcome for the customers, and that creates an impact for the business. So when we talk about empowered product teams, it's you're kind of moving somewhere on the scale between outcome and impact, basically. An important point about this image is that it's not, we don't think that it's kind of better the higher up the scale you are. It's not like a game where you need to beat the final boss and only work on long-term business outcomes. No, that is it's so much up to context and what is fit for purpose for your organization. I mean, in a startup or early scale up, it's quite natural to work with to generate business outcomes and business impacts. But then as the company grows and the team get more specialized, it makes sense maybe to have a more outcome-based approach. It's not like necessarily bad or so to be on lower on the scale here. Yeah, okay, cool. So now we have actually, with a bit of a backdrop, arrived at the product manager role. I mean, comparing to a feature team and a delivery team, it's quite obvious by now that the product manager role is quite different. I mean, the role of the whole team is quite different. I mean, to take that kind of responsibility and have that wider scope of responsibility, you need like a broader skill set. As a minimum in a empowered product team, we see that there are engineers and product designers and product managers, and pretty much all of these roles need different competences. And just to note that in many contexts, we see that you might need other competences as well in the team, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, if you work in a very regulated environment, you might need to have a domain or subject matter expert in the team, for example. But we talk about teams, it's, a smallish, let's say, 7 plus minus 2 people working for a long, regularly together as a unit, not a project group that is kind of temporarily solving a problem. Yeah, we touched on this earlier. We talk about that the team, the product, Empower product team is responsible to actually for four product risks. We have talked about the usability and the viability, but here we also talk about the value. What does that mean? Yeah, it's the team actually has the responsibility to that the solution that they create is provides value to the user enough so that he can pay or continue to pay for the product. And also viable, does this solution work for all different aspects and parts of our business and preferably grow it? And of course, will the users figure out how to use the solution and can we build it within the time, skills, and technology available? And double-clicking on the product manager responsibilities, we kind of as a boilerplate, this is the responsibilities of that role to see to that the problems we choose, the solution actually solves real problems, so that it's valuable enough to the customer and that it works for the different parts of our business. So that is the product manager role in an Empower product team. Okay, zooming out and looking at the team as a whole, who cares for what? Yeah, the different roles have, different responsibilities and cares extra much for certain perspectives. For example, product designer, of course, is mainly responsible for the usability and engineers for feasibility. But one thing that is worth noting here is that, there is not one of these roles that does not care at all about any of the other perspectives. We really need to have what we call like a T-shaped competence here. You can't have a product manager who doesn't care at all about feasibility, for example, or an engineer that doesn't care at all about value or viability. No, every member of an Empower product team, we claim at least, needs to have at least some level of understanding of all four product risks. And also worth noting, this looks different in reality. This is a very kind of boilerplate version and description just to make it clear, but in reality, different roles can help out and have competences in other perspectives. For example, there's usually a big overlap between product design and let me see if I can highlight here a bit and the value de-risking techniques that we have, and that is perfectly fine and it's really good. And if you are a front-end engineer, I've seen that several times. You're probably really interested in the usability aspect of things as well. I can contribute here, and that is really a good thing. This model or this visualization is not meant to, hinder or stop anyone from contributing to the work because it's not your job. No, on the contrary, use this just to make sure that you have all these perspectives covered in your current team, and then the more the better. Okay, another aspect of this is it's like an additional perspective on the product manager role compared to maybe a traditional Scrum product owner who is, mainly occupied and focusing on delivery execution. It's all about output, delivering features, maybe breaking them down and prioritizing the backlog, etc. But a product manager in a strong product company actually needs to, also know and work with the product vision, the product strategy, definitely like in discovery and also, of course, delivery. And this is hence the name, the full stack product manager. Okay, so We have actually iterated on a sort of model here to capture the different perspectives of model product manager. What does he need to in order to be effective and successful? And all models are wrong, but some are useful, and we have found that this is quite useful to start a conversation and start to describe the core skills of a product manager. Yeah, and the categories are that we use is strategy, discovery, deliver, go-to-market, data or product analytics, and team. And we're going to go through some of these today and kind of dip our toes in those and go through the most important aspects of some of them.
Cool. So, product strategy. Have Johannes click for me here. So, click. So, what is product strategy to start with? I'll borrow the definition here from Marty Kagan. Product strategy equals focused, transparent, high leverage bets. Let's break down what that means. So focus, it should be about focus, right? It's about getting super clear on what matters right now, knowing which customer problems are worth solving, and also being clear on what you're not going to do. Because without that focus, you will be spreading yourself too thin.
We would like to bring in from the applied workbench, the workbench applied.
Can someone please
Mute him.
mute?
There you go.
Yeah, and then bets. So strategy shouldn't be a roadmap of features. It's about placing smart bets. That's high leverage ideas based on hypotheses that we believe will move the needle in some way. A bet means uncertainty. We don't know for sure that it will work, which is why discovery is so important. But we're saying these are bets worth placing. Transparency. It basically means that everyone on the team should understand the strategy, not just leadership. And when strategy becomes transparent, then teams can make faster and more aligned decisions without, asking leadership at every point. That means empowerment, and it helps avoid waste. And then sequencing. Even when you have multiple good bets, you can't do everything at once. Everyone knows what happens when you try to do too much at the same time. So strategy helps you decide what to tackle first. It's about sequencing in a way that reduces risk and also unlocks future opportunities. And then lastly, anchored in vision. So good strategy is always going to be grounded in the product vision. It's what breaks long-term goals into meaningful chunks. So this gives your team direction without you having to manage them. It's how you turn vision into progress. So why is this important in the context of an empowered team? So let's look at the difference if we start by looking at the table to the right. The summary is this. In an empowered team, as a PM, you're not just managing a backlog. You're helping define what success looks like. You're choosing where to focus, and you're working with leadership and design and engineering to build the right thing. And going further into what that means for your role, if we look at the left. So your responsibility as a PM, let's say strategy in an empowered team is not handed down from the sky. You help build it, which means you need to understand not only your product, but also your company's business model. So how do you make money? What levers matter the most? How do your unit economics work? Growth models, profit margins, etc. It also means that you need to understand your company's strategy because you'll most likely be filling the void between a vision deck and what you're doing day to day. You'll be working in the messy middle. You need to understand the world around you to some extent. So knowing technology trends, user trends, looking into what your competitors are doing, and also your customers. And it means working with leadership because now as I started saying here, strategy is not handed from the sky, down from the sky, but rather it's a top-down, bottom-up process where you cooperate and co-create strategy. And the last thing you need to think about is if you're going to be, if you want your team to have autonomy, they need to have the strategic context to work in the right direction, and this is going to be your responsibility as a PM. So in summary, your role isn't about managing tasks, it's about creating clarity and focus and momentum forward. So some just ideas about skills to look into and learn. Again, you can't lead product strategy without knowing how your business works. And the business model canvas is a great way of structuring your thinking and understanding how your company creates and delivers value. So what to practice here? Look into the model, try to model out your own business and get curious about each part. Like who are your key partners? How does revenue scale? What channels matter, etc. Secondly, market research. Again, strategy is about placing smart bets. And those bets come from knowing the landscape that you're in. So track what's changing in the world, tech trends, customer behavior. If anything got simpler and quicker with AI, it's this. This could take weeks previously. Now you can do it with like deep ChatGPT's deep research in 30 minutes, basically. Oversimplification, but yet. Strategy frameworks. These help you structure thinking and help you communicate your strategy. They don't make decisions for you, but they help you ask the right questions. So once your team shares a framework, it's easier to talk about strategy in the same language. So you can look into, for example, Gibson Biddle's delightful hard-to-copy margin-enhancing model or Spotify's DIB. They're examples of really useful, simple models that help you frame your thinking. Clickety-clack. Yeah, thank you very much. Then even a brilliant strategy fails if you don't do anything about it, right? So frameworks like objectives and key results can help you translate these ideas into clear goals and help you stay focused and measure whether you're on track. So this is also a way of making sure that strategy becomes a part of everyday work rather than a one-off that you do once every quarter and then forget all about. So what to practice? Read up on one or two strategy deployment frameworks and try to apply them. I think OKRs, objectives and key results, and Spotify's bets are a good start. And then lastly, product roadmaps. Again, a great product roadmap is not just a delivery plan. It's not just features over time. It shows what bets you're making and how you'll measure success. So a good outcome-focused roadmap clearly draws the line between what you're building and what effects you expect on user behavior and the business. It's the link between your strategy and your tactics. Yeah, I think if you want inspiration, look to Hustle Badger. They have a great article with 16 examples from places like Netflix and Airbnb in very different formats that you can look into and learn from. That concludes my part about product strategy. Moving into product discovery.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, in many organizations, prioritization of features and product ideas, what to build, basically, that is kind of at the heart of product management, right? As product owners and even product managers, we're often asked to, okay, what does the priority look like in our feature backlog? So. And there are many ways to prioritize, of course, and some of them might be well intended, but many times we actually see more of these kinds of prioritization techniques. It's like yeah, give a thumbs up if you recognize any of these. It's like everything is priority one. Everything is equally important. Or the famous squeaky wheel technique, meaning, the stakeholder that makes the most annoying noises gets their stuff done. Or plain old urgency, this is really urgent, or fear of what might happen if we don't build this feature, instead of, what's the value we're actually getting out of it. And of course, the sunk cost fallacy. We've already invested so much in this feature, and we just need to invest a little bit more so that we make it actually work because it isn't working. Okay, this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think most product manager, product people kind of recognize at least a few of these. And if you don't any of them, you probably at least recognize the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion. That matters. And so why did I show that list of prioritization techniques? Yeah, there are plenty of data out there that suggests that we're actually not amazing at picking ideas to build. This is a famous 2009 chaos summary that kind of concludes that 50% of software features are not used, are hardly ever used, and infrequently used are 30%. Some data actually suggests it's even worse than this. According to Ron Kohavi's extensive research at Google and Microsoft and other places, it's actually the vast majority of new ideas fail in experiments, and even experts often misjudge which one of these ideas that will pay off. The numbers are that at Google, at Bing, for example, only about 10 to 20% of experiments generate a positive result. And at Microsoft as a whole, 1/3 prove effective. And the 1/3 have a neutral result, and even 1/3 have a negative result. So it might even suggest that it's a zero-sum game. So unless you're kind of better than these companies at guessing and picking features to build, you might want to choose a different approach to this. And that better approach, in our opinion, and this is widely used by the strongest product companies, is rather to develop a capability in the organization to cheaply and quickly test many ideas. And this will actually significantly raise the odds for success for your product. So instead of relying on opinions, on consensus, or rank, we want to pick ideas in an objective and consistent way, letting the evidence guide us towards the best one. So, we need to evaluate multiple ideas quickly and objectively and cheaply, pick some ideas to test and validate the chosen ideas. And re-evaluate the ideas in the light of the evidence you found. And if you have this loop going, you will have a much greater odds of building and launching successful features. There are multiple methods and frameworks for idea validation. This is one of them that we like because it kind of gives a structure to the different types of validation techniques. And this is the after model by Itamar Gilad. And I strongly recommend to download the free ebook testing products where this and other things are described. And of course, the acronym AFTER stands for Assessment, Fact-Finding, Test, Experiments, and Release. And for a modern product manager, it's essential to know at least some techniques in each category. We'll actually look at one framework that has been wildly popular the last couple of years, and I will actually try to convince you that it's quite easy to start to use. Let's see how that goes. And that is the framework of the continuous discovery habits. It's a book by Teresa Torres, and if you want to dive into it right now, before you order the book, go to producttalk.org. She has a lot of free resources and is a very productive person and very clear descriptions of these things. But in this method of doing continuous discovery, you start at the desired outcome. It might be, the strategic business outcome that has been identified as the prioritized one by the organization. And once this outcome is selected, the next step is to define and map opportunities. And in the center of this framework is called the opportunity solution tree, and this is what we want to build here. So, I mean, what is an opportunity? Yeah, an opportunity opportunities are basically like customer needs and pain points and desires and wants from the customer. And if we get to know the opportunity space, we actually can make the lives better for a customer with the product. And that is the whole point of this, of course, to deliver more value to the product. So once you have the outcome selected, a product trio has the habit of continuously interviewing customers weekly, Teresa Torres says. When you start out, I mean, choose one interview and see how that goes, just to establish the habit and then move from there. But when you're up and running, weekly user interviews. And what is happening here is that the team is starting to identify different opportunities, meaning, pain points and needs. And also the next step, so to speak, start to select an opportunity to start to identify solutions for. And here you want to generate many ideas of solutions so they can compare and contrast, and then choose a few of those solutions that seems, most likely. Here it's not to, debate on which one is the right solution. As we mentioned earlier, we're quite poor at picking product ideas. So what we need to do is to conduct quick and easy and cheap experiments. It could be, build a clickable prototype in Figma in 15 minutes, or even draw it on paper and test that, do experiments with it. And this you also want to do weekly. And when you have established this habit, you will actually quite effectively build a really deep understanding of the customer's pain points and needs, aka the opportunity space, and then kind of experiment your way and so that you have a really valuable solutions in the end. A point to make here is that a traditional company, they would probably send out, maybe a user researcher and do interviews with a lot of customers, compile that into a deck maybe, and maybe even do prototypes and requirements and then hand that over to the team. But an important point here is that it's actually the empowered product team with a product trio, so both like an engineer, product manager, and a product designer conducts these continuous interviews and experiments together. And this is, to increase the quality of it. An engineer will hear different things probably from the same conversations compared to a designer. Just to run an example from this. This is everybody knows what Netflix is, and this is what the opportunity solution tree would look like for Netflix. Here we have the desired outcome. It's to increase viewing hours per viewer, because this ties into engagement, that ties into subscription retention, which is a prioritized business outcome at Netflix. So the product trio starts to talk to users to kind of explore and identify the opportunities. They don't actually ask them, "What do you think about this cool idea or this pretty solution that we have?" No, here we really want to ask more open questions to really get an understanding of the opportunities that that we have. It could be, tell me about the last time you watched Netflix. Yeah, sure. I wanted to watch Netflix after dinner last night, but I couldn't find anything to watch. And interesting. Tell me more about that. And in these short, customer stories, when the team starts to do these interviews and synthesize and collect these customer stories, they quickly build a deeper understanding of the opportunity space. And then, use a very simple or quick assessment framework on what opportunities move forward with and do the solution experimentation, and then you just continue. So, yeah, that is kind of what it would look like. And get started. If there's one thing you take away from this little webinar, I would urge you to kind of just book a user interview with a real user and do it together with engineers and product management and design to get started.
Cool. Product delivery. We saw in the start that a lot of you listening are in product management already. This is your meat and potatoes, so I'm not going to linger here, but rather just focus on the difference in an empowered team. So what is product delivery? It's how we build and launch and maintain what we ship, right? But in an empowered team, it's not only about shipping features, it's about delivering value to users. Reliably and repeatedly. So what's the main difference here? We go to the next slide already. So in a delivery or feature team, PMs manage backlogs and timelines. You get told what to do and then you focus on shipping it. In an empowered teams, you're accountable for an outcome. So you together with the team shape what gets built and ensure it lands, which means that delivery is not the last step, and it's not the first step. Discovery comes first, and then you need to evaluate if what you shipped actually had an effect. Next. So what does that mean? Well, firstly, it means that you will be working in dual track. You'll be balancing delivery and discovery and how much time the team should put into both. It means that as you own the result, you'll be juggling different life cycle stages. So from early experiments and discovery to sunsetting what didn't work. It means that most likely you'll maintain what you build. You'll be living with it, so build quality in from the start. And it also means that you'll be balancing different categories of work, so strategic bets, but also iterating on what's already in production and lights on work. So it's a balancing act. You're juggling. It's a mess. Embrace the mess. Some tips. Click. Lead together with UX and tech. This is a team sport. The best delivery happens when a trio of tech, design, and product lead together. So it's not about handing off, it's about co-creating. Don't dictate solutions. Work closely together with design and engineering. Delivering small measurable steps, you know this. Continuous delivery, big releases are risky. Small delivery helps you learn and reduce risk. And then scope and prioritize wisely. This is so much harder than it sounds. Again, you'll be balancing strategic work, iterating on existing things, and maintenance. So make sure that you can clearly categorize work so the team gets a sense of how much time you're spending in each category. Click. Own quality, you'll maintain it. Think about tech debt and bugs and support load before things break. And then keep learning after launch. It's not the finish lines once you've shipped. That's when the fun starts. That's when you start seeing the reactions from users and see if you actually made a difference or not. Yes.
Great. stuff. We're actually moving into the last segment here, and that is what we call data in a little. You remember the golden donut model in the beginning, or product analytics. I mean, okay, for an empowered product team, is it even possible to be responsible for an outcome if you can't see, how it is going for your team? It would be a bit like driving a car with your windshield painted over. You're technically at the steering wheel, but you can't really see where you're going. And the strongest product companies, they invest in the capabilities to measure how it's going with the product in the way where the product teams really easily can access and work with the data. And this is not only kind of, oh, sorry, yeah. And I mean, a textbook definition of product analytics would be the practice of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting user behavior data to understand how people use the product, basically. And this is not only on the team level, of course. Insights lead to better decisions on all levels. And in strong product companies, the strategic decisions, those are based on data-informed insights that actually derives from different part of the product and are generated by the teams. And those lead to decisions of what big challenges to tackle or problems to solve from a strategic point of view. So what could this look like for a product team and a product manager? Just to illustrate that, let's look at an example. Meet Lucy. She works at a SaaS company that builds a collaboration product for small and medium-sized businesses. She's the product manager of a product team that has the mission to give self-serve customers and users a fantastic onboarding experience and find value from the product as quickly as possible. This is really important since the company recently decided to add a customer acquisition motion to their strategy and wants to, quote unquote, scale new customer acquisition through product-led growth. So Lucia and her team, they have defined a simple metric to start to track how well they are doing with their mission. And the team have access to look at the data daily. So pretty much the first thing Lucy does in the morning when it comes to work is to look at the dashboard and see, how we're doing today. Since Lucy's team analyze the data regularly, they soon start to see patterns in it, and users who complete onboarding and send more than 3 messages in this collaboration product to colleagues, they tend to be much more likely to stay in the product and keep using it. So they define this as the first value moment. I want to optimize for users to reach that moment as quickly as possible to increase retention. Yeah, at the same time, insights from the data from other parts of the product show that users who invite more than 3 team members and interact with them have a significantly higher chance to renew their subscription. This is important, of course. So this has become the company's North Star metric. And data that Lucy's team have been looking at and looks at indicates that users who invite 2 or more teammates the first week is much more likely to become active users and continue to use the product. So the team sets a goal to increase this number, and that aligns well with the North Star metric, of course. And since this company have a product analytics stack in place and a team of data engineers and analysts to help, it's no problem for Lucy to set up a new dashboard tracking their new goals of higher activation rate as well. So now the team has instant feedback on user behavior when they iterate on solutions and conduct experiments in order to reach their goals. And they also instantly know when one of the metrics decrease and can kind of jump on it because they are responsible for this metric to work at all times. In this little example, what key skills does Lucy need to have in order to be an effective product manager? Yeah, of course, like she needs to have some basic data analyst skills, to read and understand data. Also, some foundational tooling skills in the data stack products that this particular company uses. Even those are low or no code products to the most extent, it doesn't hurt to have some basic SQL knowledge now and again. Of course, also, to know how to choose metrics and goals and connect the team's goals to strategic business outcomes. It could be prioritized initiatives or North Star metrics, etc. And by doing this, Lucy actually is instrumental to providing the kind of rich context, both strategically and operational, to the team so that they can navigate well and take the responsibility to be truly autonomous. And if you are not lucky as Lucy to have, access to data engineers and a good data stack, there are really good no or low code options available. Been working with Full Story, for example. I think it's fantastic. There are plenty of them. Mixpanel and Amplitude are also popular product metrics products. So it's really easy to get started, at least to measure and to get data of some basic behavior in your app and take it from there. So yeah, that was it.
Right. So I'll be speedboating through go-to-market, which usually it's funny because this is usually like the GMG stepchild of product management, the thing that everyone wants to forget about. Click. Yeah, what is it? It's how you bring your stuff to customers. Click. Why does this matter and how is it different? In a feature team, this is someone else's job. You throw it over the fence to marketing, they launch it, you move on. In an empower team, you own the outcome, right? So you need to help your product land, not just launch. This is how users discover and adopt your feature. So it's the difference between being a great feature and one that no one uses. Click. Go back, actually. Skip this instead. So what does that mean? Well, know how to communicate value. So look into product marketing, learn a little bit. If you have someone in your office, talk to them. If you don't, go to the internet. Learn a little bit about pricing and most definitely make your launches count. So learn about launch planning. A PM's not a project manager, except when they need to be a project manager. And this is certainly true for launch planning. Next. Skip through this again. Product marketing, learn about positioning, learn about messaging, and launch planning. Try it out, create an easy enough launch plan. Make sure that you don't just throw it over the fence. So yes, and if you want to stay afterwards, I can tell you more about pricing and how it can be absolutely disastrous if you make mistakes, which I learned at a previous employer, let's say. Moving into summary and conclusions with 1 minute left. So, donut. We've gone through these different areas: strategy, discovery, delivery, analytics, and go-to-market. It's a lot. So do you need to know all of this? Well, depends entirely on your context. If you're the founding PM in a startup, you will definitely be working with all of these aspects and you need to know just enough to be effective. If you work in a bigger company, you may be surrounded by really competent people from data and product marketing, and you have a great support system. So you just need to know how to work effectively with others and how to ask the right questions. It also depends on what you want from your career. If you want to take the step from individual contributor to director or VP, you will be working more with product strategy, so you'll need to level up those skills. Or maybe you want to be a super IC, so see how much of all these things you can do by yourself and maybe assisted by AI, which gives you a lot more leverage to do things quickly. So look at yourself, look at your environment, decide what you need to learn to be successful at work and in your career. Move on. Yes, this is the pitch. We happen to have courses on the subject. So if you're interested in learning more, we have one course, 3-day remote, running in May. And we also design custom learning programs for companies. So reach out if you're interested in learning more about that. Yes, next. Thank you. Sorry for running 1 minute late. For the people who can stay around for 5 minutes, we'd like to ask your help, basically. This has been a motorcycle ride through a museum. You've seen a lot of stuff, but you've seen it very briefly. So what we'd like your help with is deciding what you want to see next. We're planning to launch a series of lightning lessons, so going deeper into subjects, spending 1 hour only talking about product strategy, only talking about a product discovery or a certain product discovery technique. So if someone can post the link to Miro, which is also in your invite, so you don't need to go into the Miro board now if you don't have time, but we would very much appreciate if you could step in there and help us vote on what lightning lesson to launch first in a webinar. With that said, the 2 minutes overdue. Thank you so much for showing up. Great fun seeing so many people here this morning.